Now, Donald John Trump is going to become the 47th US president. His allies are calling his political comeback historic, while critics are nervous about the future. We have a lot to unpack, as I told you. Numbers, the winners, the losers, and everything that's about to happen here on. First, let's listen into the victory speech.
This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. And frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country, and maybe beyond. And in addition to having won the battleground states of North Carolina, I love these places, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, we are now winning in Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, and Alaska, which would result in us carrying at least 315 electoral votes. We have a great 4 years, and we're going to turn our country around, make it something very special. It lost that little thing called special. We have to make it so. We're going to make this so great. Well, I want to thank you all very much. This is great. These are our friends. We have thousands of friends in this incredible movement.
All right, let's quickly pull up the map of the United States and tell you how Donald Trump reached the 270 mark, in fact, crossed it now. And since 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, that was around 6 a.m. IST here in New Delhi, we have been seeing states turn red and blue, some even going the other way, and that's something we have been constantly tracking. Now, this is how the map is looking right now. I would quickly like to tell you that there are 5 states that haven't been called yet. That's 2 of the swing states here. That's Nevada, and Arizona. Also, Alaska hasn't been called yet. Over here, Maine hasn't been called yet. And over here, we have Michigan and also Arizona and Nevada. As I told you, Arizona and Nevada haven't been called. So that's 5 of them that haven't been called yet. Now, I would also like to tell you, Alaska has been traditionally a red state. In fact, since the year 1976, Alaska has been voting for the Republican camp. So this time as well, as you can see, that's red, and it's leading towards Donald Trump. It is probably going to the red camp. It's the exact opposite story when it comes to Maine. This has been a traditional blue stronghold. So as you can see, the color blue, it is also leading. Kamala Harris is leading here. So this is something that we can expect to go to the blue bank, as we can call it. But more importantly, I want to quickly tell you, Nevada, Arizona, and Michigan, these are 3 states that are part of the 7 swing states. And these are 3 states that we haven't heard the races being called yet. Nevada comes in with 6 electoral votes, Arizona comes with 11 electoral votes, and Michigan here comes in with 15 electoral votes. Before I try to compare it with 2020 and 2024, I would like to tell you that if we just quickly subtract the 7 electoral states, rather the 4 electoral states that Donald Trump has already won, this number actually could become 216. Now, this exactly tells us how crucial the electoral map and the entire concept of swing states in the United States is. So let's pull up a map of 2020 swing states compared to 2024 swing states. And this is where the race gets even more interesting. You see here the blue camps that, in fact, Joe Biden back in 2020 managed to pull off. Now, this is what we call the blue wall. That's Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. And as you can see, Joe Biden actually took it back from Donald Trump in 2020. But then when you come to 2024, Donald Trump seems like he has managed to do the exact opposite with Kamala Harris. Now, as we told you, Michigan, the race hasn't been called, but it is definitely leading towards the Republican camp. So that's how we compare it. Out of the 7, 6 states were within the blue camp, and here we come almost all because 3 of them haven't been called yet. But for the first time in US history, it's looking like all the swing states, 7 of them this time, might be won by one political party, and that's Donald Trump's party, the Republicans. And to decode these numbers further, our correspondent Siddhant Sibul is joining us on this broadcast from Washington, D.C. Siddhant, you've been tracking the details coming in from the ground for a long time now. I know you've had a long day. What is it that you're picking on now?
Well, the day essentially has just started. It's 9:30 a.m., just past 9:30 a.m. here in Washington, and it is going to be a long day. We really do not know when Kamala Harris will concede her defeat, but of course there is euphoria on the ground when it comes to Donald Trump's victory. There are, of course, a lot of people who are not really happy about Donald Trump's victory. I've spoken to many of them, but essentially he is a fact of life that he will be the next president of the United States, and one has to deal with him. And global capitals are making their own calculations. In fact, immediately after the results became clear, we saw a quick succession of world leaders congratulating him, whether it's the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the French President Emmanuel Macron, and a whole host of leaders. In fact, in terms of India-US relationship, will there be a change? There is optimism that there will be a much more engagement at the leadership level, because Donald Trump during the campaign trail had lauded PM Modi and India several times. But there can be issues as well. It is not all too rosy picture. It's a mixed bag. He has termed India as a tariff king several times. That means he will impose tariffs on Indian goods. That, of course, means trade tensions. But all in all, the fact that he raised the issue of Bangladeshi Hindus, that is something that was welcomed not only by the Indian American community here, but many people in India as well. It could be trouble for Bangladesh. I just saw the Bangladeshi government congratulating Donald Trump, but they, of course, will be nervous about Donald Trump at the White House. The building behind me will get a new resident, because Eunice had a good positive relationship with Biden. So a lot of geopolitics to talk about, given that whosoever is the resident of White House essentially gives an influence to the global geopolitics as well. But domestically, of course, there are issues. Coal issues, immigration, inflation, cost of living. There were issues of foreign policy, especially the Gaza war that dominated. In fact, I was here yesterday night in front of the White House on the other side, and I saw a lot of protests happening, pro-Palestinian protests.
All right, Siddhant, thank you so much for all those updates from Washington, D.C. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.